If all of the kings had their queens on the throne, we would pop champagne and raise a toast to all of the queens who are fighting alone. Baby, you're not dancing on your own.
Welcome to Book Time with Ryan. I am Ryan, and today I'll be doing the top 5 English novels tag. I was tagged by Greg at Another Bibliophile Reads. My understanding from watching Greg's video is this started out as a conversation on somebody named Eric the Lonely Reader, I believe, his channel, and Shelley Swearingen created this tag out of that discussion. So I will include links down in the description for those prior videos, including Greg's. And there's not any rules to this really. It's really pick five English novels. I had a little trouble with this because I am not sure exactly where people are from in the books I read, and I'm gonna leave some things out. I actually had some other ideas, and then when I realized it's novels, it's not just books, that really excluded a lot of my nonfiction, business, economics, finance books here, and a lot of the comic books / graphic novel authors that I like that are over on that bookshelf over there. So I eventually found 5. 2 of them are interesting in how you would define something. So I'll start with one of the interesting ones first. I'm starting with The Purple Land That England Lost. If you're looking for this in your local bookstore or a library, it's probably just called The Purple Land. This is the first edition, first printing. It doesn't have this name anymore. And the 2-volume set is rare and expensive. And this one's signed. This is about an English man who marries an Argentine woman without the woman's permission, without her father's permission. He had her permission. His name is Richard Lamb. Richard Lamb is the Englishman. They run off to Uruguay, and Richard Lamb travels through Uruguay, basically just kind of learning about the area, but trying to avoid, I think it's Paquita, his wife's father, who's out to get him. During this time, this book was written in 1885, but it's set in, I think, the 1820s. During this time, there's revolution, and Richard Lamb gets mixed up in some of that. Borges says that this is one of the greatest gaucho stories ever told. I loved it, and it was done on BBC, was it BBC 4, whatever, I don't know. BBC something, radio, whatever his name is, Tennant, one of the Doctor Who guys, was Richard Lamb's voice for the radio drama. Great book. The author, William H. Hudson, was born in Argentina. I believe his parents were either from England or the United States. He was born in Argentina and lived there for a while and eventually left for England. So is this an Argentine book? Is it an English book? It's written in English. A statue for William H. Hudson is in Hyde Park. So, number 1, The Purple Land That England Lost, or The Purple Land. This is in no specific order, though. I'm just kind of rolling them out there as I pick them up. All right, my second English novel, top English novel, is, well, you can pick 2 here. This contains Animal Farm and 1984 by George Orwell. I love both of them. I forget which one it was, but one of these was not published initially in England because the English were worried that they would upset Russians because it was talking about the Bolshevik Revolution. I love both these stories. I haven't read them in a long time, but I liked to quote Animal Farm in high school when I felt downtrodden, and 1984 is amazingly creepy. But it's been a while, so maybe I should break it back out and read it again. It's nice to have both of them here. Apparently I have started rereading this because there is a... I'm going to remove that. That's talking about Thought Police. So apparently I started in on 1984 again and didn't go all the way through, but I've definitely read it once in a different form. So this is a cool copy that has both of the books that I like from George Orwell. We're going to count this as one book, but there are technically 2 in here. All right, my third one is also, I don't know if it's controversial, but Jane Harper's The Dry. This is set in Australia. Ryan, Australia is not England. You're right. That is true. I believe Jane Harper was born in England, moved to Australia, moved back to England, and went back. I don't know. She's gone back and forth. On her Wikipedia page, it says she's English Australian. I don't know what that means. But this is set, the dry is set in Australia during a major disaster, a major drought. I love this book. I love everything Jane Harper's done, and I think she has another book coming out next year. But The Dry is great. It made me read all the rest of her books and want to know more about Australia. And this was recommended by a bunch of Aussies that I know. So I kind of lump Jane Harper in as Australian, but also for this tag, I'm also going to consider her English. So they have the same queen on both of their money. So they're related. Just a penal colony for England. Eric Bana is in a movie called The Dry, and apparently they're going to make the second book, or they're going to make another book that he's also going to, I guess he's going to be in, a same character. My fourth author, this is an author that I discovered last year, and I love what he does. And I will tell you that they are the hardest books that I've found to review because they're so complicated and so layered that just as soon as I start on one train of thought, I get diverted to some other train of thought, and it's just hard. But I have done a review for this. This is Nick Harkaway and The Gonaway World. I love what I've read of Nick Harkaway. This was the second book I read of his. He has 4 books under the name Nick Harkaway, and he has 2 books that are crime novels under a different name. His real name is Nick Cornwell. And his father is another person who's going to be on this list. But I need to say this. Nick Harkaway's work stands on its own. I think he should have a lot more publicity. I think his book should be talked about more. I love everything I've read that he's written. I think it's so developed. And I've gone into every book completely blind. I haven't looked up anything. I haven't read a blurb at all. And it's been so rewarding to do that. I can't. I'm in the middle of one right now, actually, over there, Namen, and that's great too. That's 688 pages, and I'm probably about 50% through it. I'm loving that. But Gonaway World was really the first kind of in-your-face Nick Harkaway experience I had. I read Tigerman, but it wasn't at the same level, I think, the same depth that Gonaway World was. And it should be a movie. It should be a movie. It should be read by everyone, and Nick Harkaway is a nice guy on Twitter too. So he also wrote the afterword for John le Carré's last book, Silverview, which I've done a review for too, Silverview. Why did he write a review for Silverview? Well, Nick Harkaway is the son of John le Carré, one of my favorite authors. And this is a special book for me. This is John le Carré's Tinker Tailor Soldier Spy. This is the first edition, first printing of the UK version of the book. It's also signed by John le Carré. And I got this book from a bookstore in Santa Fe, New Mexico. And I found out while it was being moved from one part of the US to Santa Fe that it was a first edition, first printing. I got in touch with John le Carré's agent, or agency at least, and I was able to mail my copy of the book to England and have him sign it, and then they mailed it back. Tinker Tailor Soldier Spy is a spy novel that really focuses on the good guy, George Smiley, who's one of my favorite fictional characters, and a bad guy named Carla. George Smiley is really one of the central characters in John le Carré's books, and I've read all of his books, but he's such a great character. And Tinker Tailor Soldier Spy was the book, not this copy, but was the book that introduced me to John le Carré. I read my first John le Carré book, Tinker Tailor Soldier Spy, right before the movie came out in 2000 whatever, and then I found this copy later. So I got this copy and gave the other copy, I think, to my dad so he could read it. John le Carré has become a favorite of mine, an absolute favorite, and I was so happy to learn about Nick and start buying his books. Now, I found out about Nick because of John le Carré, but I've bought all of Nick's books because Nick's work is amazing. It's not because I like his father's work. They are very different works. They're very different genres. They're built differently. This is not just John le Carré 2.0. It is Nick Harkaway 1.0, and I think that's important to remember. So, if you like le Carré, great. Me too. Love it. If you haven't read Nick Harkaway, read it, and you will, I think, love it too. I've never heard from anyone who didn't enjoy it who's read a Nick Harkaway book, but I think Gone Away World is a great one to start with. So check that out. Jane Harper, check her out. George Orwell, 1984. Don't know if you've ever heard of that. It's pretty famous. You probably should have heard of it. And Animal Farm. And finally, The Purple Land That England Lost, or just The Purple Land. Those are my 5 top English novels. You might not agree with me, but you're wrong. These are some of the best. These are definitely the best ones that I've read. And I know I've read other English novels in high school, but I'm sure they weren't very good. So these are my favorite ones. And I have other favorite English authors, but they're not writing novels, they're writing other kinds of work. So thank you for hanging out today. Thank you to Greg for tagging me, and Shelly for creating this tag, Eric for initiating something like this when he talked about English novels. Let me know what you think in the comments. What English novels would you consider to be your favorites, your tops? All right, thanks. Bye.